Islam, Moorish. Let's rise and do the prayer. Go on. Peace to all the Moors online. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. To be read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Peace to all the Moors out there. Today we're just gonna go about weapons of mass deception relative to the war on terror. Got this book yesterday. Of mass deception, the uses of propaganda in Bush's war on Iraq, by Sheldon Rampton and John Stauber. Sheldon Rampton and John Stauber. There was a couple things in here that was relative to what we go through as far as people trying to deceive our people into thinking that this is not where they're supposed to be. It's not about Moorish national, and some, I guess you say, tactics or whatever that people would use that are in harmony with the same tactics they're using with the war against Islam, the war against nationality, and the getting more there actually. I don't deal with heritage. So the first stop is Quran, chapter 2, Education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zoan, Egypt. Now Mary and Elizabeth were marveling much because of their deliverance. Elihu said, "It is not strange. There are no happenings, all events. From olden times, it was ordained that you should be with us and in school to be taught." Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out of the sacred grove nearby where they were wont to teach. Elihu said to Mary and Elizabeth, "You may esteem yourselves thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of ones, who are ordained to lay a solid rock and a sure foundation stone on which the temple of the perfect man shall rest, that shall never be destroyed." This concept of perfected man so the foundation stone, the sure on which the temple of perfected man shall rest, a temple that shall never be destroyed. Now, Joel told the Moors that he brought us something that we can't tear up, because it would definitely tear us up if we try to tear that up, right? And as we know from a Moorish perspective, there's no way that the quote unquote building, Moorish Science Temple, is gonna house everybody out there if they said we're Moors tomorrow. Like, it can't be this that he's talking about, that when he says the temple, right? So we know that we're talking about the body. If he's making reference in chapter 2, which again is not an excerpt of the Aquarian Gospel, but an excerpt of Aquarian Gospel, relating to the Moors, that people have already been on this higher level, and we're being brought up to the level of perfected man. And then we know that 7 is the 7 chakras, and man being perfected on the earth plane, which, you know, man being perfected on the earth plane, these more. Once he's perfected on the earth plane, then he becomes the Logos, circle 7, or man reaching deific light. We measure time by cycle ages, and the gate of every age we deem a milestone in the journey of the race. An age had passed, the gate onto another age flies open at the age touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah in man. Right, again, leading back to that whole thing of perfected man being Allah manifested in the flesh. And these your sons will be the first to tell the news and teach the gospel of goodwill to men and peace on earth. A mighty work is theirs, for carnal men want not the light. These more. They love the dark, and when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. So for carnal men, for people who choose to be on the lower frequencies, for people who choose to not understand the truth about their nationality and birthrights, for people who want to cling to the names that allude to slavery, for people who are against individuals who have the light and they're trying to expose darkness on the light, right? These carnal people want not the light. Right? And then we already know light is knowledge, wisdom, inner, under, overstanding. Right? And then the whole concept of knowledge, wisdom, inner, under, overstanding is that the knowledge has to be applied. Right? The knowledge has to be put so that the individual can get something out of the information. And the only way you're going to get something out is if you put something in. Right? We call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can receive the light. Revealers of the light, because they have no oath or they have no obligation to where they got the light from, because the revealers of the light got the light from their mom. So, for example, with Majority of individuals that are on this plane and on this information, when they ask their mom about when she was pregnant with them, there was something relative to knowledge going on in her realm. So, for example, my mom was in university when she had me, right? So knowledge was just natural. There's not nothing, you know what I mean? Having a library, having books and all that stuff was just something that was normal. Wasn't have to go out and try to, you know, want to get information or find something interesting or whatever like that. Whatever. Pick newspaper, read that. Pamphlet, church people come around, they got their little stuff, we'll take that, read that. Whatever, right? Now we know that the oath keepers are the keepers of the light. And these are the ones who information was passed on to them, or light or degrees was passed on to them in degrees or in stages, because one, they didn't have the melanin to get it fully. And the ones who become keepers of the light that have melanin obviously don't want to be revealers. But when we go to when we use for example, Brother Abdullah, go into all these different lodges, the Prince Hall lodges specifically, and putting the quote-unquote Black Masons onto the fact that you get these Europeans out here trying to tell you that they're the sovereign, they're the grand whoever, they gave you the fez, they gave you the lodge, they gave you the information, they gave you all the rings, and then they're getting caught up in the keepers when they're actually the revealers, right? The revealers of the light must have the light before they can be the light. So going back again to the concept that if we're saying that we are, we're Moorish Americans, we're Moorish American Muslims, we're more scientists, we're metaphysics and all that stuff, we're the revealers of the light. So we have it. We gotten it. What Noble Drew Ali came to do was flick the flint sticks or whatever, the flint stones, to get the spark so that the light could actually be seen now. And as Moors, we know when we're traveling or we're being ourselves, opposed to when we're being Negroes, that as soon as we step into certain places, people already know that we're there. But then when we got turban fezzes up and all that stuff, we step into places, definitely people know that we're there. Without even saying a word to them, they know that, okay, you know what, that individual, they quote unquote have the light. Right? You might present it to you like that. Oh yeah, I saw you over there, I saw your fire burning from back there. I seen your aura, I seen the fire in your eyes or whatever like that, to know that this individual is on a different level. And again, you know, we give honors to Mother, because without, again with the lessons, without Mother preparing us, we wouldn't even be on this plane. We wouldn't even be here relative to this information, right? Peace, Mark.
Please, Father.
You didn't make no order. I'll be making no order yet. You better cancel your order. We got stuff in the back.
I never ordered.
So we got wrap stock here from 5 Principal Catering. 1 for 4, 2 for 6, or 2 for 6, or for 7 you get 2 wraps and a water. 5 Principal, Padua, and Landray.
And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Now, on the other side of it, with regard to just tofu and veggies or whatever like that. And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Now we have to put it in perspective as well, that even though we are the revealers of the light, and when we receive the light from mother, majority of mothers, they're not even on this like that, right? If they are on it, they're on it on sons, and they realize that, oh, their son is actually, taking steps to shine. So okay, fine, because you could be out here being a drug dealer, doing whatever BS out here. But you're choosing to get knowledge. You're choosing to share the knowledge. You're choosing to, do things different than the norm, right? You're taking the onus on yourself to know. So when we're talking about out of the womb, being that majority of mothers are not on this, you have to be the one to teach you, the son, about getting the information so that your soul could be on fire with love and holy zeal. And once you get to that place of looking at humanity opposed to looking at self, once you start looking at humanity, then that would make you conscious to realize out there how bad it is and how much the revealers of the light are needed right now. That it's imperative that the revealers of the light start expressing themselves, or expressing their light, or shining their light, so others could see that there's alternatives. Doesn't have to be the regular status quo. Yeah, Mark.
But sometimes when you try to reveal the light, you get the children of darkness. They're serious. They get serious.
Yeah.
Family members too.
They don't play with wanting the light.
it's serious. It gets to the point where they want to fight.
Right.
Right. And you're trying to help them.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because people that you love, you're trying to help them, and
then they don't want it.
Not even just they don't want it. They get to the point where they're trying to stop you
from even getting. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like guys I grew up with. We grew up with 50 guys. It's not like one or two guys.
Right. Yeah.
You're trying to, and we were all close, relatively.
But when we were Negroes, we were close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now it's, now it's like, I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah, they're not even hearing it.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you're coming on that knowledge.
Yeah.
But that, you want to go to the ball game or whatever, they want to come over and do the barbecue pork chops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're game for that.
These guys want to fight.
Yeah.
They get aggressive. Why you get aggressive with me? I'm just trying to tell you something. No,
right.
Give me. Well, they'll call me really, I can watch this YouTube video. This guy told the cops that I'm not a driver. And I'm like, yeah, the same thing you were saying, but you didn't believe me.
Right.
You saw a guy on YouTube.
That guy.
Now you're on.
Yeah. And then even on that level too, there's been there's a thing about that. The whole YouTube, go on there and learn. There's something very damaging about that, opposed to books or whatever. Right? Now we know that yeah, you can go on there and get inspired or whatever. But if that's the all and be all for learning, you're not going to learn too much, right? Because eventually you're going to bump into those people on that road. Now it's about them get whatever, and you keep giving out without getting. And it's only going to be so much of not getting that people say, okay, you know what, forget this, because these Moors ain't about nothing. All they're about is try to get my finance. Or
Yeah.
Right? Anybody else got?
Well, just one more thing.
Yeah.
You were talking about when your mother wasn't on it. I don't know where my mother was when she had me.
Yeah.
Where she is. I didn't know that, but what you're saying just revealed, like, it was just like it connected perfectly with me, even to my name, how she named me.
Right.
So I'm like, Mom, why did you name it? She doesn't know. Someone just came in there and just said, you're gonna give them.
Right.
And I'm the only boy in the family. I'm the one who has a name like that. The rest of my list is called Christian basic names. But my mom was not into this.
Right.
I have to bring this to her. So it's just strange that
right, and that goes back again to verse 10. Elizabeth, you may esteem yourself thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of long promised sons.
See?
They didn't even know.
Yeah.
That note, it wasn't even reflecting to them that the people we bring on the planet or whatever are going to be the ones that change stuff out here. You know what I mean? When we think about even with Drew Ali's mom, right? You know, it's not she knew whatever. She knew Timothy and all that. You know? But the tie that they had as far as the family bloodline, because his uncle was Henry Turner with the Louisiana Purchase and all that. So there was definitely divine intervention, right? Which is why, Raphael. Say me that.
She didn't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly.
You just something told me that should be the name. Okay, well, that thing that told her the holy energy.
Yes, I believe that. Sure.
Yeah.
Me personally, no.
I believe that.
I got two boys.
Yeah.
And I give them my same trait.
Right.
And this one get the middle name just like mine. The first one I give him only Al. A-L. That's his middle name. And now only to know that Al is one of never know. I never know when I did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your first one?
Yeah, first son.
Yeah.
The divine was in you.
And I give him his middle name Al.
Right.
And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Teach them that Allah and man are one, but that through carnal thoughts, words, and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. All right? So not just the actions, like when they say lower self, and then they start talking about things that people did, lower self, or thoughts too.
Right.
So don't get caught up in, oh yeah, I'm living good, I'm eating right and whatever, and then your thoughts are contaminated thinking that you got something going on because, stuff on the physical plane is looking a certain way. Man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. Teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. That naught can make them one but love. And Allah so loved the world that he clothed his son in flesh that man can comprehend. The only savior of the world is love. And Jesus, son of Mary, came to manifest that love to men. Now, love cannot be manifest until its way has been prepared, and naught can rend the rock and bring down lofty hills, and fill the valleys up, and thus prepare the way. But purity in life men do not comprehend, and so it too must come in flesh. And you, Elizabeth, are blessed, because yours is purity made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. This age will comprehend but little of the works of purity and love, but not a word is lost. For in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made of every thought and word and deed. It is ready to receive. Allah will send a messenger to open the book and pages, all the messages of purity and love. And every man of earth will read the words of life in language of his native land, and man will see the light and walk in the light and be the light. And man again will be one with Allah. Now, also too, just for the whole concept of the with Noble Ali plagiarizing the Aquarian Gospel and whatever. Now, if this is the Aquarian Gospel and that was brought to Europeans for their quote-unquote salvation, ain't nothing wrong with these teachings. Europeans should be on this. Negro, black, colored people should be on this. Because as soon as we get rid of the misnomers and the brands and all those things, then we start looking at beings, not people. Right? We start realizing that there's no people. There's agreeable beings and disagreeable beings. There's high vibratory people and low vibratory. And we have to, again, once we're living in this mindset of love being the first principle, and truth, peace, freedom, justice, and then go through those. And then we looking at humanity instead of looking at self. And we take the lessons. We realize that a lot of people out there know the same stuff that we're just finding out right now. A lot of people know who the revealers of the light are. A lot of people know that they're here, or lack of a better term, that they return. And that the time right now is for the revealers. Because darkness time is over. Right? They got their machine working overtime. April is minus whatever outside. Right? To try to keep the light away. Like that light out there, like, not comprehending that it's really about the light that's down here. It's really about the light that is emitting from all the who are coming into a higher frame of mind. Right? So we had Harry put those up.
You want to read it? You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Heritage. In the civil law, every species of immovable which can be the subject of property, such as lands, houses, orchards, woods, marshes, ponds, etc., in whatever mode they may have been acquired, either by descent or purchase. 2 Lear, number 472. In Scotch law, land and all property connected with land, real estate as distinguished from movables or personal estate. Bell. That's it for that one.
Right. And for the Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary, property that descends to an heir, something transmitted by or acquired that descends to an heir, something transmitted. I read that again. Something possessed as a result of one's natural situation or birthright.
Read that again.
Something possessed as a result of one's natural situation or birthright. The nation of colors.
So anytime we speak of our nationality, our flag, our holy book, our prophet, matriarchal principle, whatever it is, we're talking about our heritage, which is our birthright. And being that it's a right at birth, as soon as somebody tries to take that or tries to violate that, know that their position is letting the disagreeable part of them be in the forefront, right? Because remember, we're dealing with the attacks that our people get when they start leading toward this information, and they have individuals who are directly speaking against this. In the highest form, they're speaking against this, right? To make sure that the people don't get to this place of recognizing that this is their birthright. When we say heritage, also too, hers in there, and a lot of these are patriarchal. They have a patriarchal mindset.
Even women.
Even women,
Are patriarchal.
right? Because they ran to feminists, whatever, which is a patriarchal jurisdiction, right? Especially with sisters that gravitate to this, right? They directly are abandoning their own stuff. Because if the matriarch doesn't realize that, you need the man there for something. We might be degenerate women, but we still have a purpose as far as the family structure is concerned. As soon as they start going in here, you know that they're going against their own birthright. As soon as we have the misnomers being the perpetuated lessons, if we go down the list of all the people who are against Moorish nationality, against Moorish birthright, we see and hear that these people are gravitating with the misnomers. Once they're doing that, we know that they're on the other side of the fence. They don't know that. They're not going to say that, they're going to say that certain people are the devil and certain people are the enemy and 666 and whatever. But they're running with them. Unknowingly, they're running with them. Which is why we're going to use this example, the weapons of mass deception, and the idea of propaganda being at play to keep people away from their heritage, right? And like we were saying, because of this YouTube thing now this is a open field now, right? When before YouTube and all that, when you just had to go online and hope you find somebody, right? There was very limited people talking BS about Moors. You weren't finding that really. There wasn't this deception going on. Those who knew about Moorish nationality, they were over here, and nobody was even paying them any attention. It didn't even mean anything to anybody. But now with this social media age and all that, now you have the naysayers and whoever else having this opportunity to leverage people on a wider scale. Because remember that at one time it used to be if you're going to get info, to the lecture. If you don't go to the lecture, you're not getting any info. If you're not going into the building where the master teachers are at and you're sitting to learn, there's no going out and getting info. Because majority of the time, you're going to be led to the typical, black colored African history books or whatever like that. There ain't no metaphysics and all that. There's none of that unless you were a revealer of the light and certain things spoke to you, or information just drop on you just because you're a revealer. So ancestors, whoever, they're going to look out, make sure you got everything that you need in order to be where it is that you're supposed to go, so you can do your work that you're supposed to do, right? So the first chapter, second chapter, war is self. War is self. And again, as we go through this, put this in perspective of the individuals making the same claim that Bush, Cheney, whoever was making, that there's a war going on and they're defending against, Islam. They're defending against peace more. They're defending against religion. They have an issue with fezzes and turbans and right. War is self. From a marketing point of view, you don't introduce new products in August. You don't introduce new products in August. White House Chief of Staff Andrew H. Card told the New York Times in September 2002. Card was explaining that the Times characterized as a meticulously planned strategy to persuade the public, the Congress, and the allies of the need to confront the threat from Saddam Hussein. Right. So anytime you're Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, whatever like that, replace that with Moors, Islam, or whatever in your mind. Right. According to the article, intensive planning for the Iraq rollout had begun in July. Bush advisors checked the congressional calendar for the best time to launch a full-scale lobbying campaign. The effort started the day after Labor Day, as Congress reconvened and the congressional leaders received invitations to the White House and the Pentagon for Iraq briefings with Vice President Dick Cheney, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, and CIA Director George Tenet. The White House communications aide scouted locals for the president's September 11, 2002 address and chose Ellis Island, okay, with the Statue of Liberty as the backdrop. So the idea of them speaking about everything against Moors, which is matriarchal, but then they're speaking about the black woman's God, right? They're acknowledging that women exist, but they're not going with the ideals of the Moors, which is matriarchal, which is totally contrary to what they're trying to do. It's like we said with young Pharaoh, like your name can't be Allah and you're dissing Moors. You can't say my name's Allah, but you're dissing Moors and you're dissing Fezes and you're dissing all these things that are relative to Allah, right?
But he's just setting himself up, though, right?
Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time.
He's speaking the words up to in existence, right? And the words have to come back to him, right?
Right.
They don't come back to you unavoided. They come back to you like a boomerang.
Right. Right.
So he's definitely set himself up.
Definitely. The Washington Post reported that the White House had created an Office of Global Communications to coordinate the administration's foreign policy message and supervise America's image board. In September, the Times of London reported that the Office of Global Communications would spend $200 million for a PR blitz against Saddam Hussein, aimed at American and foreign audiences, particularly in Arab nations skeptical of U.S. policy in the region. So you have and again, we're going from the time of, with the debates, right? Pretty stuff that we see today, because prior to the Sabir / Alim versus Seti and all that, again, there was no more hating. Like that wasn't anywhere in existence. The people who were dealing with that, with something other than Moorish, they were in their own little corner, right? They weren't bringing people on the bandwagon to hate on the Moors. It wasn't something that was done, right? One with, like you're saying, people who their position is playing themselves, right? They're the fact that we know that they're Moors, they might be unconscious, but they're Moors. They're talking like that against their own stuff. They're definitely going against themselves, right? But we also know that our people's position, like with the thing that we went to yesterday, our people's position is that they've become so honest that they even call themselves that. They're so engulfed in ignorance that they call themselves that, and they're going around like they have these meetings and they have these lectures and they have these whatever, trying to our people this idea that they're African and black and they're all these things.
Yeah, like that there's a black community.
Right. That there's something called that. Yeah. Right. There's black people and African people, and the amount of Somalians that were there yesterday that in conversation with them, Somalian, never said African ever. They went up the stage and they were talking about this one sister went up, she was doing some poetry and all that. And, she's talking about her beautiful Somalian language. You're not talking about African and all that. But with Asiatics there, not even registering to them that she's not even talking their language. She's not even saying how the dark-skinned people, right, however they dress or whatever like that, regardless. They're dark-skinned people, but they're not speaking like how the black people talk.
And they're from the place where...
And they're from where they say that they came from or whatever. Right? Mm-hmm. And they're not even hearing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll say Somali, most of them will say Somali.
Right.
They say Somali,
Yeah.
They'll never say African.
Never, ever.
Or never say whatever else there.
And the word Audie's and the word Somali, too.
For real. PR Week, one of the leading trade publications for the public relations, reported that U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld also relied on an informal strategic communications group of lobbyists, PR people, and Republican insiders to hone the Pentagon's message. Now, as soon as U.S. Secretary of Defense going and getting PR people and all that stuff, you already know that they're marketing. It means that they're corporate jurisdiction. They're marketing using lobbyists, PR people, and Republican insiders, which again stresses to the point to play like republics are ours, that republic has nothing to do with Moors. That's a European jurisdiction.
You know, even yesterday, I remember when the Moors, the unconscious Moors, there, those who are not mindful that they are Moors, they're saying that there's a change that needs to happen. And they're making mention of the government this, the government that, the government this, the government that. But as soon as other unconscious Moors who are associated, working with the board of certain school boards and things of that sort, when they start speaking, and when they start saying, oh, controlling the anger of these youths is to be taken into consideration, that should be taken into consideration, all the unconscious Moors are like, yeah, that's true, that's true. So I see that there's a problem. We know the problem. Since we know the problem, we should make a solution, but we're still having other thoughts that don't respect the indigenous people as who they are, and they want to classify them to be black as long as they classify themselves to be black. That struggled to me too.
Right. You remember any of the questions from the thing yesterday?
Yeah. What should government do?
No, we'll just put this out there because, yeah, again, we were at this event, and the same thing that everybody acknowledges, like I heard Moors run up to Hootie about, oh, the Moors are here and fezzes, but they're not getting no info. They're not even trying to build with Moors, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head, like deep down, like how ironic it is. Our people are looking for a solution. Yeah, because they came to that event for a reason.
For a solution.
For a solution, right?
Solution's there.
And here the solution is there, and they're just
caught in darkness.
Doesn't make it baffles me,
Yeah, caught in darkness. Black everything. Right? You remember what?
I remember off the top of my mental, there is, what should government do to have black youths not be violent towards other black people?
Right. Okay. So we'll use that one first. Right. So we'll put that out to the floor.
Did they say what the government do?
Yeah.
Black youth.
Yeah. What should government do to stop black youth from being violent toward other black youth?
Nothing to do with the government.
That's one.
Okay.
Actually, invest in the family.
No.
First thing. Well, basically, it's
First thing.
black youth don't exist, so that's not.
That's it. First thing, they're not black. Teach them that they're not black. That's the first thing.
Status.
That doesn't exist.
So darkness on darkness.
As long as you can teach them that they are not black, then you can't teach them anything else.
What government are they talking about, first of all? What jurisdiction are they talking about? Because government don't have jurisdiction. Well, they have jurisdiction over blacks. Yes,
Exactly. So that's the government.
they don't have jurisdiction over Moors.
Yeah, but the same government have jurisdiction over black.
But that's
what
what
they're talking about. So if they want to do something about it, teach them that they're not black.
Right.
No, but listen what he said though.
Take it back to
Right?
history.
He said black. What he said, black youths.
Again.
Right. So that's dead status.
Yeah.
So stop killing dead status.
Yeah.
And you ask the government.
Right.
What government? To kill a dead status. That's their whole point. Their whole point is that's what they're doing. Why would they sit down and talk to you about fixing that when that's their job?
Right.
And I remember another question was
They're playing games.
I'll mention it afterwards.
No.
Oh, yeah. I remember. I remember another question was, what should government do to teach the youth about their culture? Something along those.
It's
Right,
youths or black youths.
Yeah, they said black. I think
Black
they said
youths,
black.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But who's saying? Is it that the youths that are saying that? Is it the youth in the?
That's the thing.
No, it's like
Thing first.
it was like a forum.
Okay.
So what they basically did was they're going to, I think they said
Stop
Ottawa,
violence against the black.
Ottawa, Toronto,
I didn't call that one.
I think Hamilton.
Oh,
They went to different cities or whatever to do this forum. You know what I mean? Where you bring the youths or whatever like that.
Right.
You give them these questions. They got this little iPad stuff. You know, punch in your answers or whatever like that. Submit your stuff, and then it goes to some database. Then they go check all the answers, and then at the end they're gonna come together with a, final solutionary whatever that. I don't know if they're presenting it to the government or if they're, just collecting data or whatever. But
They got 40 million actually funding.
Yeah.
From the government.
Yeah.
To do that.
To
Oh, so then
40
they're
million.
reporting.
What's 40 million going towards?
Yeah.
And they're saying it's going towards help the youth.
Yeah.
Something for a new yacht. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They need a 10-star vacation. So.
And again,
budget.
from the idea of wanting to, we'll say do something, right? Because all the stuff going on, they want to do something. What they chose to do, like as far as the vendors, there was no fee for the vendors. You know what I mean? Food was free. They had veggie and they had meat, whatever. Anybody who wanted to eat whatever. Where it was at the reference library. In a room I've never been in, the upstairs room. That's gigantic. It's a gigantic room that I didn't even know that they had that stuff there, right? They had some youth performers and things like that. They had some prominent people there, you know what I mean? But it wasn't, the theme was, this is not about, old people talking and giving their whatever. It's about youth being hurt. What percentage of youth would you say were there at the thing?
At the thing.
Like for the whole,
At the thing, percentage of youths. For real, I'm gonna say like
20% or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. No, this is a youth thing though.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even at the end when I was giving on, I was looking for the youths then. I don't know what on that set. I'm like, and I had to pause like, shucks.
Yeah. But,
You know why? Because the youths know they can solve the problem, so they don't even go there.
there could be that too.
Could be that. They don't.
Because
They're not even talking what they're supposed to. Because some of these youths, their eyes are open, but nobody to open it wide.
Right.
So that's why lots of the things, and you can't tell them to go to church. I used to have to run to church. So there's a difference with their eyes than my eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that too, when I would just think their spirituality don't lead them there. Their little spiritual powers don't even lead them there when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
To what they were advertising.
And even for that last question, what should the government do to teach youth about culture? I remember you giving the answer indigenous. I'll teach you them that they're indigenous and not black.
Yeah.
And that kind of just, and you only made, that was made mention, at the table.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, even though that was at the table, you could feel the silence in the room.
Yes.
What do you mean?
We're not black people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was just having that conversation with my sister this morning. I was at Starbucks this morning, and we same exact thing what he just said. Same thing. She's telling me, I said, "You're not black," and she's older than me. She's like, "Her and my nephew are." What do you mean? I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean? Look at your skin color. Look at your hair now. Is that the same color?"
Yeah.
No, it's not. So how are you black then?
Yeah.
She goes, "Okay, we're not black. We're West Indian." I said, "Okay, what part of India?" So if you're West Indian, you must be
from India.
right? Because Indians are India. And she's like, no, we're from West India. We're Caribbean from the West. So what, are you Caribbean or are you West Indian? Which one is it? So she was like, "You're a Moor." She's like, "What?"
Yeah.
So she still looks at me, because she looks at me like her younger brother. She just look at me like, like I can't.
Yeah. How are you teaching me something?
This is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure if somebody else older than her told her about it, she'd get on it.
Yeah.
It's the same reaction that brother showed.
Right.
We're not black?
Yeah.
Well, no. Look in the mirror. Your skin's brown.
Yeah.
The same kind of vibration that they receive when they look, the same kind of vibration that they receive when they look at the fence.
Yeah.
It's the same vibration that they receive when they hear, you're not, huh? What?
Yeah.
They look at fence. Oh, by the way, I like your hat. Oh, funny. You know, this is a national headwear. It ain't a hat.
Oh yeah. Because there were some convos that you were having too.
Yeah.
Because I know. Oh yeah. What about we could talk about, because I came late when I went to the store. The Lebanese brother.
Oh yeah, that guy. He made mention to me that he's from Lebanon, and he said, "I'm from Lebanon and I love reading." And he says, "But I've never heard of the Moors." But he says, "All this is new to me." So in my head, I'm like, "You're from Lebanon and you're recently coming from Lebanon to here. You don't know about Moors." But then I was building with him, and one I remember saying was, "We have to be heard from the power within us. And the second we give another that power and they have the intent to define our words for us, that's a problem. We ought to define our own words when we are speaking for our own intent, regardless of ever skin color." And he made mention that, well, that's very powerful. You know, that's very powerful. I agree with that. And we were building on that for the longest while. And it's funny because it wasn't until after the other Moors there, unconscious Moors that were there seeing me and this individual having this build, that's when they started to come on. That's when they started to come on around. Yeah. But before him, one two came on by and they were just looking and then, all right, you know. So no, there were some that still stick around, but as far as in the combo with me, it wasn't much. But afterwards, yeah, I don't know if he went. I didn't see him afterwards.
I didn't see him after either.
He came by.
Now that you say that,
you know what? Maybe he came for the whole event, and I was like, "Yo, this is what the whole event's about, and I'm only here for this part, and this is this like that."
Yeah, then that's it. Ain't nothing else to be there for. Really. Yeah.
You should have told him like this. They call it Kambush.
Yeah.
That's how Lebanese friends, and they know it.
But what I mentioned to him was the flag. So the Lebanon flag has the cedar tree on it.
Yeah.
So I was telling him about the continental flag. Continental flag had, and that's supposed to be the quote unquote real government of the United States. He's like, oh really? We're gonna have to look into that or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it was obvious that there was a connection as far as him and the information. And like we were saying, him himself realizing that there's a connection here with this. Like, why am I at this table? You know what I mean? Why do you have these things that, you know what I mean? He was just grabbing books like, oh, I want that one. He was just picking up stuff, right? But then, with our people, they think about it, and but I don't know which one should I get and all that type of stuff when he was already there already. Right? Yeah. Ancient return. Chapter 4, doublespeak. In our time, political speech and writing are largely the defense of the indefensible. George Orwell. Things like the continuance of British rule in India, the Russian purges and deportations, and dropping of atom bombs on Japan can indeed be defended, but only by arguments which are too brutal for most people to face, and which do not square with the professed aims of political parties. Thus, political language has to consist largely of euphemism, question begging, and sheer cloudy vagueness. Orwell was a shrewd observer of the relationship between politics and language. He did not invent the term doublespeak, but he popularized the concept, which is an amalgam of two terms that he coined in 1984, his greatest novel. Here's one. His greatest novel. Orwell used the term doublethink, a contradictory way of thinking that lets people say things that mean the opposite of what they actually think. He used the term newspeak to describe words deliberately constructed for political purposes. Words, that is to say, which not only had in every case a political implication, but were intended to impose a desirable mental attitude upon the person using them. For example, consider the now famous phrase, axis of evil, which was first used by President Bush in 2002 State of the Union address. Bush characterized Iran, Iraq, and North Korea as an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world. By seeking weapons of mass destruction, these regimes pose a grave and growing danger. They could provide these arms to terrorists, giving them the means to match their hatred. They could attack our allies or attempt to blackmail the United States. The concept of Axis, of course, evokes memories of Axis powers of World War II and functions to prepare the public for acceptance of war against nations that purportedly belong to the Axis. However, this use of the term is misleading. It suggests an alliance or confederation of states that pose a significant danger precisely because of their common alignment, a menace greater than the sum of the parts. In fact, Iran, Iraq have been bitter adversaries for decades, and there is no pattern of collaboration between North Korea and the other two states. To say that these nations are evil depends in part on your theology and in part on your politics. There is no question that Iran, Iraq, and North Korea have all committed horrible violations of human rights, although Iran has recently been undergoing internal democratization, a process disrupted as the invasion of Iraq fans the flames of Islamic fundamentalism. So we're going into the concept of individuals not having a full comprehension of what constitutions are, what rights are, what the facts are opposed to the fiction, and then trying to together in order to have a claim or have a position, which ultimately destroys their position. Because you can't You can't say, you know, like we use the example. There was the Aline debate where the individual who was against the whole Moorish paradigm is claiming that somebody who teaches Moorish history is their master teacher. Like they honoring this individual as a master, you know, Dr. Ben, right? But when you get every one of his books, every single one of his books, he talks in favor of Moors. Never does he talk negative against Moors.
Plus he has a doctorate
in Moorish history.
The doctorate is like the highest.
Can't get higher than that.
Can't get any higher than that. That's the highest level of degree in like schooling, I guess. And that's not just history. That's just Moorish history. Period.
That's just Moorish history. Like forget about all the other history in the world. He chose to go get Moorish doctorate to qualify himself as quote unquote master teacher. That's heavy, right? Could have got anything else, but said forget all the other stuff. We're just gonna stick to the Moorish paradigm, right? The other one used was African American, right? Using these terms. Amor called me today about he was studying and he found out that as a Moor, he can trademark the straw name. Not by filing papers or whatever, but just by putting TM by the name.
Trademark.
Right? Now, if there's a trademark office, probably have to file some papers if you're going to trademark something. There's no just put something there and then it's official, right? So the example that I was using with him was, well, okay, well, if that's the case, then because he was saying the reason why, and he never gave up who taught him this or whatever. He just said Moors or whatever, right? I'm thinking it's our people in B-Town. It was a Moor from here. The concept that he had was that, well, all these names that we have that are quote unquote European are our names because of Europa. Because Europa was Asiatic. So because Europa was Asiatic, then we have claim on those. I was like, well, yeah, but you know, if Europa wasn't European, if Europa was Phoenician, then why don't you claim that? And why are you claiming European names as what you're going to trademark? Well, because Europa was a Moor.
That's just her name.
But that's just her name. Like what do you mean? That's what you're using as the position. Well, and then it goes back again to the thing. Well, that's what I was studying.
He wasn't thinking on like the deeper level. Okay, what's her ancestral type,
right.
like lineage title, like primogeniture or whatever you want to call it.
Right. What is her bloodline?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people think that way though. Once they embark on the origin of the name European, then they all automatically start assuming.
Claim it. It's ours.
One guy even told me that if that's the case, then we give them that name.
Yeah.
So it was ours then when we give them.
Right.
That's all I'm getting.
Yeah.
And then online, a lot of people have the family crest with the
and then they
like King James, and the different spellings of it and how it came from us, and so. You want to believe it, there's something out there for you.
If you want to believe it.
But again, if we give it to them, doesn't mean that it was ours. If we create them, we create you as this, and that's who you are. It doesn't mean that's us.
Point. That's because
that doesn't mean that us.
As you're saying, the whole time I'm thinking of the whole Europa. Like I know everybody knows Europa as Europa, but you don't claim something that essentially was made out of a disease. You don't honor the disease.
Right.
Well, what I notice, even people that say, I'll just stick to the conscious people because they should know better, right? That they know that, yeah, the slave name, the surname is basically the slave name. So they know that, right? There's no debating it, but yet still, right? They're afraid to get rid of it, or they're afraid to say, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm an L or a B because that's a slave master name.
Right.
Right? And then the unconscious people, they're just in love with the name.
Yeah.
Like you can't say nothing bad about their slave name.
Right.
You don't know the slave name, but it's like, nah, man, that's my great great grandmother, my great great grandfather.
Yeah. My slave name was my father's name, but it didn't matter to me. Man, I still change it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's not really their name; it was being given to them. But I mean, I said I expect better from the conscious community because they have AKA whatever names they have, which is like a name correction, but yet still
nothing's correct.
Yeah, they're still the straw.
Yeah.
Because only on YouTube or on social media they're the name. But then in reality or in real life or in their reality, they're still the straw every day.
Yep, and I remember there was a sit down that the Hebrews did with Polite and Reggie, and they brought that same thing. Now, yeah, you might call yourself whatever like that right now or whatever, but bet you if you go in your pocket, you got social. I bet you got license, and it's not saying that stuff that you're calling yourself right now, right? And you know, in the right, but again, they never put that back on them. That well, I bet you got social too.
Yeah.
You try to pull Moorish argument, but like you can't say that that's what you are without showing me some quote unquote identification that says a different name or whatever. And then on the line of what Brother Cyrus was saying, the last chapter, just that we're going to look at, the uses of fear. Television uses sudden loud noises to provoke a startle response, bright colors, violence, not because these things are inherently appealing, but because they catch our attention and keep us watching. When these practices are criticized, advertisers and TV executives respond that they do this because this is what their quote-unquote audience wants. In fact, however, they are appealing selectively to certain aspects of human nature, the most primitive aspects, because those are the most predictable. Fear is one of the most primitive emotions in the human psyche, and it definitely helps keep us watching. If the mere ability to keep people watching were really synonymous with giving audiences what they want, we would have to conclude that people want terrorism. As much as people hated what they are seeing on September 11th, the power of their emotions kept them from turning away. And fear can make people do other things that they would think not do if they were thinking rationally. During the war crimes trials at Nuremberg, psychologist Gustav Gilbert visited Nazi Reichsmarshal Hermann Göring in his prison cell. We got around to the subject of war again, and I said that contrary to his attitude, I did not think that the common people are very thankful for leaders who bring them war and destruction. Gilbert wrote in his journal, Nuremberg Diary, why, of course, the people don't want war. Why would some poor slob on a farm want to risk his life in a war when the best thing that he can get out of this is to come back to his farm? Naturally, the common people didn't want war, neither in Russia, nor in England, nor in America, nor for that matter in Germany. That is understood. But after all, it is the leaders of the country who determine the policy, and it is always a simple matter of drag the people along, whether it's a democracy, fascist dictatorship, or parliament or communist dictatorship. There is one difference. In a democracy, the people have some say in the matter through their elected representatives. And in the United States, only Congress can declare wars. Oh, that is all well and good. But voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them that they are being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country, or it works the same way with any school of thought.
But that even goes into the last topic where the man coined the term double speak.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, it's as if like if you having others to define your intent, then somebody could come past your movement, saying that, oh, you know what, all men are going to affect you, all people are supposed to be on their own going to affect you. People hear that statement, not comprehending what the statement is. Then, oh, he's a terrorist, he's talking about he wants to separate people, and yeah. So that's what it is out here.
I got
yeah, fam. Yeah, and Omar next. Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a real lack of understanding that the whole planet is seeing within the first principle that we're taking up as our 5 principles, which is love. We have one human race on this planet, one Earth, and this human race is made up of nationalities, men and women that are connected to the land in different areas, that all make up different cultures, different nations, but we're all still part of the same family. With the understanding of our history, there has to be some forgiveness and some understanding of the reason of why everything has happened and how it's played out into the now in regards to the soul's experience that we continually over and over through our manifestations of coming back, reliving in different areas, reliving in different bodies, solely experiencing different experiences throughout our whole soul's existence until we are today. We have a responsibility with, especially with redefining this nationality, this movement as the Moors, to truly envision the first principle that is love, because again, love is what encompasses all. And when we truly understand that it's not just about uplifting our people, it's about uplifting all people, and through what we do for our own can be reflected to everybody. Yeah. And it comes to acknowledging that we have to forgive the Europeans for what has been done, forgive the Moors or the other people who are within our own tribes that work with Europeans to do the things that happen throughout history over and over and over. And we have to have this knowledge of love so we can stop this process of war, this perpetual enslavement from a small few of the masses, to bring in this peacemaker, peacekeeper, union and communion consciousness where we can be a family again. And it's so important as with what we do as we go out there and teaching our history, teaching our knowledge of who we are, and as we represent our ancestors, we have to also acknowledge we can't make the same mistakes that our ancestors made. So we have to accept the old with the new, and in our own expression, combine the two with the direction of peace in mind, to really push forward up to the next principle, which is the truth. What is the truth of this experience? What is the whole experience truth about? Coming together, not to just come in our nation sense and then seclude ourselves from the world.
From everybody else, yeah.
We are empowered as a nation to remind other nations to be empowered as nations as well. And then when we're coming to this whole unity, understanding, and community of nations and reminding us that we're a family, we have that freedom. You know, we all are free.
Yep.
Nationality, human. The corporations lose their grip over us, mind, body, and soul, because we are in our I am presence, emanating the freedom that we really truly wish to be.
Man must be the light. That's a moment.
Just wanted to mention to people that we have from 5 Principles Catering. We have wraps back here.
We'll just open up for questions. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mark.
When you say humans, aren't humans with you?
Men.
No. When you say human, you said human, right? Yeah. Human is the etymology of human is not hue. Is the first word, right?
But isn't even the lightest skin tone a hue?
Yeah, but what is human? When you break down hue, what does that mean?
What is human or hue?
No, because it starts with hue, right? Human starts with hue. So when you start hue, what does that mean? It doesn't say the lightest hue. It doesn't say that. When you break down hue, it means hue. It doesn't say the definition of hue does not say different colors of hue.
But it could be tone that, yeah.
But I'm not
color could be in relation to music, and also color could be like in the spectrum of the energy.
I want to see if it's in there. Just put it out there.
Emotion goes going by what it means. What the meaning of it. I'm not going by my emotions. I'm going by I'm learning. I'm coming here to learn.
To me, the understanding of the, you know, we're all men and women first.
Yeah, but
before even humanity, we're men and women first.
Yeah, but you said human. That's why I'm just picking up the human part. You said human.
Human.
Yeah, human. Human. Yeah, hue.
Human.
So if we're breaking down hue, and then man will be what hue means first.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just saying, doesn't hue mean like hue?
Is it one race or is there many different races?
I never brought up race.
This is the question.
We have the definition of hue over here.
That's the question.
And then we can look up race after too.
Complexion, aspect, political parties of.
A little louder, Mark.
Sorry. Color. You saw the juice right here. Yeah, all of that. Skin, chew on, clamp down, growth, complexion, aspect, clothing. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. That's something. Oh, that's all good. Gradation of color. The attribute of colors that permits them to be classed as red, yellow, green, blue, or the intermediate between any contiguous pair of these colors. Compare brightness, lightness, and saturation.
Compare brightness, lightness, and what? Saturation?
Yeah.
So that'll be the comparative for hue.
Lightness,
so,
brightness,
and yeah, saturation.
That's the only thing it says for hue. That's it.
So that could even equate to radiance of the soul.
Yeah, I think they said radiance or something in there too.
So that goes back into the divine light of the being that we are.
Yeah, but then you can argue that too. Not everything has a soul. Right?
Not every man or woman has a soul.
Well, not yet. Not everything. Everything has a spirit.
I'm talking about the men and the women.
Yeah.
As far as man and women, yeah.
But even man and woman.
Not even, yeah, that's true too. You can lose your soul. I agree.
No, not lose. Not everyone has.
Yeah.
But everything is animated through the spirit. The spirit is the breath, right? That's an entirely different thing from the soul.
The soul can be removed from the body.
Well, providing you have it.
But then, even still, it's a container that can be used as a vessel from the spirits. You can bring something else in.
Spirit. What is spirit?
It's another connection.
No, spirit is breath. That's what I said. Everything has a spirit, which is the breath. But not everything has
a soul. Right.
So we're talking about different planes then, different planes of existence.
And I would say that more, that yes, as the existence plane is determined on, okay, well, this plane would determine what next planes you go to. If you have a soul, then you're probably going to go to some other level. If you don't, you'll probably just be back here all the time. Or maybe not even back here. After this, it might be it. Or you come back in something else, or as another form. Like Buddhists talk about, people might come back as animals or whatever. Based on the things that,
That's true.
which is why they say, they go vegetarian. Because they're really eating their ancestors when you're eating meat or whatever.
I know for sure.
Dr. Ling, Dr. Ling Ray has a lecture on that, talking about how life is measured on a balance scale,
right?
Like on a beam, like a measuring.
Yeah.
And it says that if your deeds, if your desires outweigh your deeds, then you will come back here to relive, to learn your life lesson until you get it right? Mm-hmm. And until your deeds outweigh your desires, right?
And then speaking about Alima Bay, Tuesday's class, we're going to be doing an interview with Brother Alim on Tuesday. We're still figuring out the time. We might start at 6, but we still got to form the time. If it's not 6, then it's going to be regular time, 7 o'clock. But that should be a good little interview with Brother Alim.
Is that reincarnation?
Yeah. Huh?
Is that reincarnation you're talking about there?
Who's that?
When you was talking about, you have to come back and read that reincarnation then, right?
I think incarnation.
So
that would be reincarnation.
Yeah, because if you've been.
So basically, you're how, like, let's say this. You first, so just basically you have one life, and you do a certain deed, and then that your soul level goes up or down to the next life.
Say that one more time.
So basically, like, you start off as soul, and you do a good deed in your lifetime.
Yeah. And
then when you transition now, does that soul now go up to a higher plane? When you come back again as another human, does it come back to another higher plane?
Depends on how you left. I guess it depends on how you left.
Yeah, I'm saying,
like
if you're a killer, say you're a killer, a mass killer, then your soul would go down the voltage. Is that how it works?
Well,
you live your whole life. No, because I'm asking that for a reason, right? Because
if you're doing that type of killing, like brother said, I don't think you have a soul. Right?
Yeah, you're probably absent of a soul.
Because you have killers, like you have killers through centuries, right?
Yeah.
And you would think to yourself, okay, is there that many souls being made? That like you're brand new, you're brand new, you're brand new?
Or is it a reoccurring of coming back again?
You learn your lesson,
right? Yeah.
Because it works also, right? Because how do you, okay, for example, a child's born, right? And the child can see all kind of things. Child can see into the fourth dimension, right? Child can see things that nobody else can see in the family. Yeah. How do you explain that? Like child could say, okay, mommy, don't go on the train tomorrow because the train's gonna crash. And she's like, what? And then she goes and the train crashes.
Right.
How do you explain that?
It's been here. Like,
yeah.
That individual has been here before.
That's what I'm saying. So wouldn't it work? Like that's what I was trying to say. Like, wouldn't that?
Yeah,
it would be the opposite, right?
So yeah.
Because there's a lot of documentaries on that where, like you said, children have come here. There's one recently that I watched, and the child is Hindustan in India, and he told the parents where, well, in the previous life he was a sheep.
Right.
Told them who he or she at the time was married to.
Right.
And they were like, what? Told them the state that he lived in, took them there
I see that. Right.
and pointed out the husband who was still living and said, "This is the husband, those are my children,"
Right, yeah.
and told them everything that she went through previous to passing. And that's when they accepted and said, "Oh, okay, so yeah, he's been here before." So, but remember, they're in touch with that science. What I know is they do a lot of massages and stuff when the child is born,
right,
to realign that. So that puts them back in tune, and that's why if you ever notice, a lot of the Hindustanis, they know certain things about us, and they'll sit there and watch you. But we always, oh, they're racist when you're unconscious, right? They watch me and they're looking at me in peculiar ways, but they see the light.
There's a reason why I didn't want to go that deep.
Yeah.
But the reason why I asked them, because that's me. I was a little boy that told my mother, "Don't go on the train." That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I asked the question. I'm not to that deep where I can go back and say that's my. No, but that's why I asked that.
Yeah.
Because I know it does exist. It exists also for the opposite. You know?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's just turned.
It's turned.
Right.
I can even get back to the name when you were talking about the name.
Found it?
Back to that same thing.
Well, we dissect what the Quran says about what you guys are talking about. Start from chapter 1. A lot of work. Let me see one.
Chapter 7.
Yeah, I know. And chapter 1, right?
Funny, this was all touched on Friday.
Oh yeah, for real.
Notice that it's connecting. It always connects, but it's more dense of a connection.
Yeah.
We talked about the peace that came up again.
So, to start from chapter 1, 6th paragraph. It says, now seed are perfect, yea, as perfect as the source from which they come. But they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. For man, the seed must be deep planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of plane of soul and of plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Heart. Now let every creature hear, the plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit, plane vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essences of life are manifest, the perfumes and the odors, the true sensations and all of love are manifest. All right?
All of love are manifest.
And these soul attributes became a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower still, and then the essences took on a final garb. The perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and all of love were clothed in flesh, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal nature was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshly things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast, but he gave up his birthrights just to gratify the lower self. But man will regain his lowest state, his heritage. but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, he must suffer trials and temptations manifold. But let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and the spirit of the mighty Allah, who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall. It will be no more. Then he will stand untrampled on the plane of soul, where he must complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These, even them every one. Thus hope will ever be his beacon of light, for there is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure.
Islam.
So then the killer does have a soul then, right? You just said it. A killer, maybe that's this lifetime, that's his position. Weed out all the fools, to weed them all out. And he gets killed in the next life, he goes something else. Just read it.
Yeah, so the ending of that last paragraph says, man cannot die the spirit, man is one with Allah. And while Allah lives, man cannot die. When man has conquered every foe upon the plane of soul, the seed will have foot opened up, will have unholy breath. The garb of soul will then have served its purpose well, and man will need it nevermore. And it will pass and be no more, and man will then attain unto the blessedness and perfectness and be at one.
That's a transition of faith to fruition.
So man is not. So man, when you hear man, you're thinking, you. That's not you. That's you're the body. Yeah, that is stuff when you're talking about you.
Man beyond the flesh.
Man is inside you.
Yeah. There's one more paragraph when you find it. It still pertains to the same thing some you were talking about.
Well, you know that if every individual had mused what was said, every individual, some children use this a lot earlier than other individual was aware of this. A lot would be different. A lot would be different.
Well, this is what not to add in, but the question: how do you have the so-called black crime solve the problem? This is how you solve the problem.
True.
Right? You have to let people know that your soul is your emotions and your, like they said, the sense and your sixth sense, basically. Because basically the spirit is such at a higher level or on another ether or on another vibration that you can't directly deal with the flesh. Because it's just way below it.
Right.
That's carnal.
So it's so far, yeah.
Yeah, that's carnal. So you have to So the soul is like the intermediate person, like the intermediate that deals with the flesh and the spirit, I guess. The middleman, and is, I guess, presents and our emotion and our our intuition or all these other stuff that we can use once.
That we don't have access. Yes, we don't have access in the flesh like that.
Like in the movie, when you go see the ancestors, right? That's like the soul, I guess. Black Panther movie. Like when they went to see the ancestors, to get
to get the knowledge order.
Yeah, that's like I guess the soul. That's like the soul interacting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at the same time, every day you dream.
You got it?
Yeah, you dream. Like when you dream, that's your
etheric body.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the spirit
beyond the
soul,
flesh.
it has to leave the body because the body is so unclean, if you want to say.
Yeah.
It has to go to the ethers to get
the fullness,
to get refreshed or to get cleansed or to get rejuvenated or whatever the case is. But but to me, everything is connected. I mean, so the flesh may be the lower, but it's still connected because what the flesh could do, the soul can't do, right? But is connected in a way where the body is still as powerful, like the human is as powerful as the others. They might think that, well, oh, the human is the lower, but it has a power to attach to connect with the soul and the spirit in a way where the spirit won't come down to the level of the carnal because it's just way beneath it. But just to flip it around, the human, the lower self, can actually ascend to such a high level that, I mean, to get that alignment, if you want to call it, to where, you know what I mean? Maybe I think more science is probably the last answer of knowing thyself, because once you know the full truth, then realistically, you might not know everything, but at least you know, well.
You know that, yeah.
Yeah, like you fulfill your purpose. You know the truth, and you did your thing on the soul plane to ascend you, to connect you.
I think in the Quran it touches on all the different aspects that everybody's bringing to the table. You were saying everything serves its purpose, which is it's connected. So the shell, which is the body, teaches also the soul. Right? This is a plane of school. Or show, hell, school. Right? That's where the word hell comes from, school. So you're here to learn. And though the soul is infinite, doesn't die, nothing, is constantly learning through its trials and tribulations of coming there.
Through the flesh. Yeah.
So this here has its purpose of teaching.
Right, teaching the inner man.
Being that's in you.
Yeah.
And which is said there, right? Once you go through all the courses, you ascend higher. And you meeting the inner being ascends higher than it previously was. It's constantly hungry for knowledge. And this is how it learns. So it's all in there.
So basically, my thing is, I'm saying is that once you conquer that last level of knowledge and knowing that, I don't think you'll be coming back here because you learn all your lessons. There's no way the spirit.
Maybe you'll be a great. Huh? Maybe you'll become a great.
Become a what?
A great.
A great.
Yeah. Or a Vulcan. Right? Because we're not the only. I don't
beings out in the universe. Yeah.
So
you got the thing.
And then that could be another school within itself.
Right. Yeah, soon. Yeah, go ahead. Hold on. More got something behind you, and then.
All right. This is I think chapter 11. It says Joshua and Barata together they read the sacred books. I'll start from the beginning. And you guys tell me where to start. Among the Buddhist priests was one who saw lofty wisdom in the words that Yahshua spoke. It was Barata Arabo. Together, Yahshua and Barata read the Jewish Psalms and prophets, read the Vedas, the Avesta, and the wisdom of Gautama.
Oh, I just wanna put out there, just because you're not up here, but somebody in the chat just said Veda means knowledge. So in tune how the stuff is. So yeah, go ahead.
The Vedas, okay. And as they read and talked about the possibilities of man, Barata said, "Man is the marvel of the universe. He is part of everything, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Time was when man was not, and then he was a bit of formless substance in the molds of time, and then a protoplasm. By universal law, all things tend upward to a state of perfectness." This is like what you guys were talking about.
Yeah,
right?
The transition.
The protoplasm evolved, becoming worm, then reptile, bird, and beast, and then at last it reached the form of man. Now, man himself is mind, and mind is here to gain perfection by experience. And mind is often manifest in fleshly form, and in the form best suited to its growth. So mind may manifest as worm, or bird, or beast, or man. The time will come when everything of life will be evolved unto the state of perfect man. And after man is man in perfectness, he will evolve to higher forms of life. And Yeshua said, quote unquote, Jesus, Barata Arabo, who taught you this, that mind, which is the man, may manifest in flesh of beast or bird or creeping thing? Barata said, from times which man remembers not, our priests have told us so, and so we know. And Yeshua said, enlightened Araba, are you a mastermind and do not know that man knows not by being told? Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. If man would know, he must himself be what he knows. Do you remember, Arabo, when you were ape or bird or worm? Now, if you have no better proving of your plea than that the priests have told you so, you do not know, you simply guess. Regard not then what any man has said. Let us forget flesh and go with mind into the land of fleshless things. Mind never does forget. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. Time never was when man was not. That which begins will have an end. If man was not, the time will come when we will not exist. From Allah's own record book we read, the triune Allah breathed forth and stood 7 spirits before his face. The Hebrews call these 7 spirits Elohim. And these are they who in their boundless power created everything that is or was. The spirits of the triune Allah moved on the face of the boundless space of the 7 others. Of 7 others were, and every other had its form of life. These forms of life are but the thought of Allah clothed in the substance of their ether planes. And it goes on.
What chapter is that?
11. You had something more? Or you were gonna.
So I just touch on that. So the body's made manifest in the soul, right? So that means the soul's then therefore finite, so it's gonna end, right? But the spirit is infinite, right? So therefore it doesn't end. So the soul is just
no, the soul is infinite.
Well, it says that the soul will come to an end.
It's come to an end because it's part of the body. The spirit now.
It's on the soul plane.
Ether. Yeah. So the spirit is infinite. You know, it's part of this. This is one with Allah. So therefore, it doesn't end. It carries on, you know, to higher planes of life.
But do we live the spiritual life or do we live the soul's life? Like I mean, like just living natural, like everyday living. Is that the spirit life?
Well, it says right there, like.
No, not that. Not what it says here. I'm talking about us. We're talking right now. Us. Physical life. Do we live it? In reality. Because
you got to be a spirit.
Man. Man is spirit, not the flesh.
If we're connected with spirit, right? Spirit knows all. Right? And if we're connected with spirit and we're living the spirit life, we shouldn't be making mistakes.
What it's saying, what we're living in.
No, but we're attaining to that state of perfectedness.
No, but I understand.
Right?
No, I understand.
So there's going to be there's not no perfection.
What I'm saying is that if you say that the spirit connects with the Most High, right?
The spirit is the Most High.
I mean, inside of every man. Right. If that's the case, what you're saying, right, then why do we make mistakes? Why are we following that?
There's more than one spirit
inside of you.
People are connecting. Well, I'm just saying. There's obviously like the source of
the vibration.
Below that source right there.
Someone has to be witched because he's talking about. I heard you say no. All right.
He's
putting it out here. All right, let me.
Like you said,
Raphael is asking the question to us, not by referring to what Yasun has said. Right. He's saying to us as a people, why is it if we are spirit in the flesh, let's say, how come we are living not a spiritual life? If supposing we are that, and he's saying, don't use this as
the answer.
As your answer. Yeah. Talk from your own personal perspective.
So let's do influence.
So just
that's one word I'm going to put out there too for answer.
So you're saying
Influence.
You're saying it's influence is why we're living.
One of the reasons, not all of the reasons. This is one of it.
Well, I think it all comes back to choices, like the ability to choose and make our own path. So what we were reading before, we're in our carnal nature, there are temptations, and because we have the freedom of choice, a lot of us make the choice to temptation. Like we have the choice to live a spiritual life,
right.
but when the temptations and the blocks and 1,000 men are always in front of us that we have to battle on a daily basis.
On this plane.
This plane. Yeah. So the freedom of choice has a lot of us straying away from our natural spirit.
And one of the worst part of it is that we never get our birthright when we were born. If we had got that, we would be in a higher spirit right now.
I just want to add on to that. It's so true. It's like everybody has their own free will. Everybody has the freedom to make a choice and choose which they want to do. We're here in this physical reality as a soul within the body. You know, first and foremost, we're like the saying is, we're a soul having a spiritual, or what is it?
We're a spirit having a
human experience. Exactly. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, we're taught to be, we're actually human beings. Don't even think about your soul. Like we're not taught about soul in the school. We're not taught about spirit really in school. We're given misunderstandings and misconceptions about what this all is. We really have to break it down for ourselves and discern the truth for ourselves through our own experience, through our own going through the search and this being a seeker of the truth that our heart can actually resonate with, and we can understand that, you have this higher self and this lower self that are two aspects of the whole being of you. And through our experiences, we can either, work towards unconditionally the desires of the lower self, or we can consciously connect to the higher spirit and work to be a part of the higher self. And it's about what you choose to manifest. We can unconsciously just be programmed by what our reality is manipulating us to think and believe about ourselves, what we can be, what we can't be, or we can choose to connect within with the spirit and try to resonate.
Guided that way.
Yeah, what the higher self is wanting me to be, or what my true self can represent for the highest good that can be reflected on this planet. And that way, through wanting to consciously connect to your highest self, you're actually connecting to the spirit. You're going to that love energy. And one thing I want to add to that too is people don't necessarily understand the work that Yahshua put into becoming the Christ. They think that, because he was born and, a son of Allah, and that's what was said, just being that through, being born that way gave him his gifts. But it wasn't only that, it was he went through work to prove himself throughout the whole planet of all the nation's masters, where they recognized him as love in the flesh, the son of the love, of the triune connection of what love universal source represents. And he was in the flesh, the son of that love manifest. And everywhere he went, he had everybody, the Pharisees, the scribes, denying him, saying that, oh, you're not connecting to our ancestors, you're not connecting to the true traditions of our past, you're doing something completely different. Meanwhile, he's representing what love truly is.
Representing the Most High.
He was the perfect man. And he showed everybody, I'm here to show you what you can be with the light that I'm providing you. Recognize this. And everybody in those times would rather go back to their
little scrub, their whoever.
And the people that were jealous of his energy and, fulfilling that prophecy of why he even came here. To provide that light and that vision for us to make that choice. Do we want to rock with the lower self, or do we want to rock with the higher self? He provided us the template and the example of what the higher self represents. And now we have the understanding, even though it's manipulated and rearranged to really dampen that light. But it's still a conscious application that we can make daily on what we want to work with. We want to work with unity, unconditional love that's manifest in the flesh, or do we want to just do what everybody else does?
You said a word that resonated with me, like template. When we are trying to reach this higher self and like connecting it back with choice, a lot of what we're learning in the just being in this class and living as Moors is if we research, study these templates of how to reach our higher self is already established.
It's there.
It's already there. These choices, like I think we make these choices on our own, like aimlessly, because we are spiritual beings, so we do have feelings towards certain things. But if it's already written, we should follow it. Like I recently learned that a person in my family traveled to and was going into the monkhood. That is a very difficult place to go or study to take, or because they're so disciplined. There's a very disciplined way of life in order to reach a certain level in the monkhood, in order to reach a certain level of meditation, or et cetera, et cetera. It's all discipline, but it's all there. And once you really truly want to reach those planes, you have to research, and the choice is not there anymore. The choices that we have to make is not there anymore because it's already been written.
And I can tell you too, right now, for basically all of us in the room here today, the level that we should get, none of us won't be live long enough to get there. Especially when we didn't know what we should know from babies, we ain't gonna get to the highest level that we should get, in my
well, maybe not in this life.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to repeat. That's what I'm saying. That's all. No, I'm talking about now, man. Don't confuse me. I'm talking about now. That's what I'm talking about now. Us here right
it's
now.
Possible. We can still reach it. It's possible for you to reach it.
No.
And if it isn't from your offspring.
No. Well, offspring follow us will. Like young ones.
But nothing is impossible.
Can't judge.
Remember, man is man. Man is nothing is impossible.
Your mind is not my mind. My mind is not your mind.
It's just more. It'll be more. Of a discipline.
So I have
it also goes with some of the food that we've been eating from when it's already, and the medication and drugs already messed us up so bad. It's
But if that's the case, the new
that's what I'm saying.
children coming have it worse.
The baby now coming up.
But they have it worse if that's what you're saying.
Perfect stuff that baby
Because
has
the
coming
foods
right up.
that they're getting is worse out than
It's
what
one
you
of
have.
my opinion, bro.
It's true. You're right. He's right what he's saying.
Yeah.
So in one of the company book to the Holy Quran is the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East. And
Louder.
I feel that one of these chapters here seems to answer some of the stuff that we were talking about. It's the meeting of the seen sages to make the laws for the coming age for the nations of the earth. They read the story of the life of man, of all his struggles, losses, and gains, and in the light of past events and deeds, they saw what would be best for him in coming years. They knew the kind of law and precepts suited to his estate. They saw the highest Allah ideal that the race could comprehend. Upon the 7 postulates, these sages were to formulate the laws of life, of the coming age that souls may rest. Now Manjesta was the oldest sage. He took the chair of chief and said, "Man is not far enough advanced to live by faith. He cannot comprehend the things his eyes see not. He yet is child, and during all the coming age must be taught by pictures, symbols, rites, and forms. His God must be a human God. He cannot see Allah by faith. And he cannot rule himself. The king must rule. The man must serve. The age that follows this will be the age of man, the age of faith. In this blessed age, the human race will see without the aid of carnal eyes, will hear the soundless sound, will know the spirit Allah. The age we enter is the preparation age. All the schools must be designed in a simple way that man may comprehend. A man cannot originate. He builds by patterns that he can see. So in this council, he must carve out patterns for the coming age. And we must formulate the gnosis of the empire of the soul, which rests on 7. Each sage in turn shall form a postulate, and these shall be the basis of the creed of man until the perfect age shall come. Then Manchester wrote the first. All things are thought. All life is thought activity. The multitudes of beings are but phases of the one great thought made manifest. Lo, Allah is thought, and thought is Allah. Then Vidyapata wrote the second postulate. Eternal thought is one. In essence, it is two, intelligence and force. And when they breathe, a child is born. This child is love. And thus the triune Allah stands forth, whom men call Father, Mother, Son. This triune Allah is one, but like the one of light, in essence, he is seven. And when the triune Allah breathes forth, lo, seen spirits stand before his face. These are creative attributes. Men call them lesser gods, and in the image they made man. Casper wrote the third. Man was a thought of Allah formed in the image of the Septonite, clothed in the substance of soul. And his desires were strong. He sought to manifest on every plane of life. And for himself, he made a body of the ethers of the earthy forms. And so he descended to the plane of earth. In this descent, he lost his birthright, lost his harmony with Allah, made discordant all the notes of life. Inharmony and evil are the same. So evil is the handwork of man. Ashbina wrote before. Seeds do not germinate in light. They do not grow until they find the soil and hide themselves away from light. Man was evolved the seed of everlasting life. But in the ethers of the triune Allah, the light was far too great for seeds to grow. And so man sought the soil of carnal life. And in the darksomeness of earth, he found a place where he could germinate and grow. The seed has taken root and grown full well. The tree of life is rising from the soil of earthy things, and under natural law is reaching up to perfect form. There are no supernatural acts of Allah to lift man from carnal life to spirit blessedness. He grows as grows the plant, and in due time is perfected. The quality of soul that makes it possible for man to rise to spirit life and purity.
What's that last saying I didn't hear? The quality of soul that makes life and purity.
Purity?
Purity. Yeah, purity.
I just want to add to that is basically what you're saying about when Yeshua or said that we could be like him. He also said we can be greater. Right? So we have the ability to do the stuff that he did, like the miracles and walking on water and whatever. I mean, whether it's allegoric or metaphoric or, the case is the miracle that he did, right? We could do it, whether it's physical or even if it's metaphysical, the case is, whatever the case is. And another thing I want to add to the reading that the sheet did about the last reading, the last chapter, where fear, to answer your question, fear is why a lot of us are afraid to be the master of our higher self. It's so much easier to gratify the lower self in society, because as a brother said, influence, and the sister said, well, we have free choice, so I don't know, today I'll just do the wrong thing knowingly, But it all comes down to fear of whatever the fear is, whether it's self-hate, because you don't love yourself enough to think that, well, I'm a nobleman. I'm not a slave. I'd rather be what more would say a king or a god or a prince or these higher connotative titles or something. But our people were obsessed with the slavery and the guy getting shot with his hands up. They kill that. Like they're all so obsessed with that and obsessed with the chain and the shackle. But why? We've been indoctrinated, but with the age of information, that we transcend that. But our people, it's like they gravitate to the lower self. I don't know. I have to say to their programming is good. Because I'm just thinking, why can't they just get it like me? But you got to give something to the programming.
Yes, you're a programming that you use to program you, so of course it's good. If you use your instinct to do your stuff and put it out here, of course it's good.
Most people in the school system, I came across this a couple of days ago. The General Education Board, read the philosophy, it tells you that this is what they're doing to you. And you keep putting your kids in the school.
In there.
Exactly.
So one thing they tell us, 3 square meal a day. Think about ourselves now. Just feeding yourself. How wrong they put it here. 3 square meal a day. You see your upper intestine, those fine track. If you straighten them out, it's about 20-something feet long. It takes about 6 hours for that food to process. Go down, either go through the stomach and then to pass it on with the bigger intestine down at the bottom. Take about 6 hours just to process through that. And you think about you eat a big breakfast 8 o'clock, 4 hours later lunch, another big one. Another 4 hours later, 5 o'clock, another big one, and nothing ever finished processing. That's so messed up we are.
We taught
just
them
the food we've been eating.
We
just
taught
the
them
food
that.
we've been eating.
We taught them that.
Yeah, but that's their stuff.
That's the Moors, when the Moors went, that's what they taught them.
But then again,
No,
too,
that's
yeah.
what it's fact.
Yeah.
That's fact.
Yeah.
Whoever taught them.
We taught them,
that
and now we really taught them.
Right.
Depending on the type of food that you eat.
Yeah.
Three
Three meals a day.
Every
3 meals a
3
day,
hours.
depending on the food. Yeah.
Every 3 hours, you make new blood, which is why the concept of eat every 3-4 hours is coming from. And like the brother says, it depends what you are intaking or ingesting, right? So if you're eating like what do they say, the caveman diet
You
or
already said
whatever.
before, what I call square meal. You know, the square meal.
Yeah, but that's
one, fully loaded square one.
That's their diet. That's their
Yeah,
diet.
that's what I'm trying to show you. These are where our messed up come from.
Yeah.
That's a part of
But
our messed up.
The reason why I'm saying or putting it in the way that I'm putting it is we're messed up off of our own thing. It's coming back around 360 because these were the things we taught them.
I'm not disputing who. I'm only saying
He's just
what
saying.
it is.
No,
Right.
what okay, I'm
He's just saying
coming
that you're
from a
just
different.
saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'm putting another paradigm there for people to see that we did these things and now we're paying for it.
Yeah.
And the man took it and redid it. Send
You
it back.
get
to
it back,
us.
like they
The
say,
man
it's the
steal it
taste of
and
your
put it back
own
in.
medicine.
Yeah.
That's
Give
what
it
I'm
They are different people than us because they can eat the generic food because they're genetically modified and created.
Right.
So it's okay for them.
Right.
Not for us.
Really.
That's what we like food. It's not really fine for them, but not
Yeah, they are.
Two closing, actually 3 closing points.
Can I say one thing first?
Oh yeah, more.
So you get to the point where, if you're in tune enough, the spirit will lead you in what to eat and what not to.
Yeah, 2.
And when?
I know that's in my life. That spirit was. I was into everything. I ate everything under the sun, and then the spirit just said, "Okay, you train, so I know your excuse you're gonna use on me." But that's a dialogue I have with him. I don't have the dialogue as thou art. I just speak like me and you were speaking, and that's how he comes to me. Okay, so we're gonna cut this down first, and then after a couple of months, okay, stop eating this, and in a couple of months you're gonna stop eating that, and then from there got to no animal flesh.
And then you will see for yourself the difference how you feel.
Right.
I'm telling you, plain, I used to go to the washroom on the first shit, I have to flush it, man. Now I go and I forget to flush it. Plain and simple.
Laurel, what are you laughing
It's for your purpose, right? So your higher self will lead you for your purpose. Your purpose is not everyone else's purpose.
That's true.
Right? So if you have to be fine-tuned, you will fine-tune yourself.
Fine-tune yourself.
If you have that connection.
True.
Right? Not where you feel like you have it, where you actually have it.
True. Couple references. Reference 1. One of the Moors sent this out. Kundalini energy ignites when masculine and feminine energies are aligned. And you can go to 2012 spiritualgrowthprophecies.com. 2012 spiritualgrowthprophecies.com. Second, if anybody's seen the new series Krypton, just came out. So there's just a little synopsis of the Krypton. Approximately 200 years before the birth of Kal-El and eventual destruction of the planet, focusing on his grandfather Seg-El, whose family, the House of El, has been ostracized and shamed. Seg-El, Seg El fights to redeem his family's honor and save his beloved world from chaos. The corrupt regime leading Krypton has Val-El, grandfather of Seg-El, tried for treason and sentenced to death. Seg-El and his parents are stripped of their privileges and banished to the lower class slums. 14 years later, after preventing a terrorist attack, Chief Magistrate Daron Vex, the same man who condemned the Els, arranged a marriage between Seg and Nissa, his youngest daughter, which will allow Seg to restore to the upper class. The new Krypton series that just came out.
Wow.
Superman nationality.
And lastly, April 21st, we're going to be taking part in the City of Toronto spring cleanup. We're putting this out there for even all the other Moors, wherever you're at. If you're a member of Canaanland Temple, honorary member, 21st is when we're dealing with that. So wherever you're at, we're putting it out there for Moors to jump on the vibration and assist with this humanitarian work. We're gonna be doing our clean from Caledonia to Kiel. Yeah, that's right up there.
Coming down.
That's just right up there, bro.
Like 5,
Caledonia's right there.
Yeah, just right up there. East further.
Right there by the bridge. Where the post office. Where the post office is.
The shoppers.
Yeah, shoppers.
Yeah.
It's not just at the top, though.
That's just right there, bro. What?
I know how you work already. What's the
Well, the reason why is because at 2, well, it's 12 to 2. After that, we want to have 5 principals do their stuff so we could have lunch after. So we're gonna take up some finance for donations. So once we finish our 12 to 2, then we come back here, get our food thing going on, and then we did our job for the day.
Who's taking them? Like when we take up the finances?
We're gonna take up between now and next week Sunday. All right. So we could get them squared off so they can prepare whatever they got to prepare for us. There's if you got the email, City of Toronto Recreation Centers, certain pizza stores, and all the civic centers at the security desk would be giving out garbage bags and stuff like that. So we're gonna make sure we provide at least rubber gloves. If you got more heavy duty gloves that you wanna use, feel free to bring those. We're gonna meet up here probably about 11:30 on Saturday, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna split up everybody. So if you know anybody that needs community hours, if you know any other groups or whatever like that don't do anything and they wanna do something once in their life for humanity, they could come out and join the Moors on the 21st with doing our community cleanup. And remember, this is not Drew Ali Day, so dress to clean, not style. You're coming out in your good stuff to clean. As well, we're gonna be doing our sandwiches / wraps / food thing, so we can start supporting our own and supposed to buying food from these people over here who, you know what I mean? Which right, go back to the same theme. So this way at least we support our own and you know what I mean? You're right. Do that. So Islam to the Moors, I wanna just like last week's session, again, this was a good more so than a class. So give yourself a round up. Putting your thoughts out there and putting your energy out there. Give thanks to the Moors in the chat as well for having their build going on there. You had something?
I wonder what's like when you start a new job now, when you're Moorish, like
Yeah.
how do you deal with them with their tax when you pay it? How do you do that?
Well, with myself, the last time I put free national name in there, they said, "Here's the check," and there was no job.
What do you mean?
Once you start saying Aboriginal, Indigenous, or whatever like that, they're not dealing with you because they know they can't tax you, and that means they have to pay the tax.
Okay.
So,
Need your work, then
if you need your work, you might want to just reserve your rights and do whatever it is that you got to do. But they're not.
Gonna tax the title in my tax me in my.
No, they just won't give you the job if you're looking for the job.
Well, there's a situation because subcontracting is different from like hourly work, like putting on stubs.
Yeah.
Because you pay back your own.
Right. Yeah, you pay back your own taxes if you're subcontracted.
If they're willing to work with you, like I know the guy who's willing to work with me, right?
Right. Yeah.
If they're willing to work with you, then
Then yeah, you could do it in free national.
They'll give you. Have
but if you're looking at a job or occupation or whatever like that, going out here working
in the free national.
Yeah, but is it doing what you're doing right now? Yeah. Just working with somebody else?
No, it's doing what I'm doing with another company with somebody like.
Yeah, that's just contracting. That's just subcontracting.
Are they gonna tax you?
No.
Okay.
But I'm saying how to do it, like what paper I give him at the end, like you say, you give him a receipt or a bill for our. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to.
For whatever service yours.
My labor.
Yeah. No. Whatever that is, you don't have to do tax or anything like that. You just give them whatever your rate, fee, hourly, whatever that is. You just give them.
So I could create an invoice to give.
Right. And then you create the invoice, whatever your services is, then that's what it is. Then he'll pay.
My name on the top of it,
right, with your free name on it, or whatever your business name is, or whatever like that.
No,
but if you're not using a business name, if you're just doing the work, then it would be your name that he's paying you.
So that's what I want to differentiate them, because I have my company, you said, that's the old business name,
right,
with the straw.
Yeah.
And you could continue to reserve your rights.
Right, with that, yeah. Or you could just use free national name and subcontract your service to them. And then that's going to be whatever fee it is that you charge, that's what it is that he's paying.
Okay, because I'm thinking of first because I was going to get an account open in my free national.
Oh, no, you can't. They won't. Well, remember, it's going to go in all caps now, right?
I don't know what it's going to go in because I have storage that used to go in all caps. I know they don't put it in my free national. They don't put it in all caps.
Yeah.
Even reserving my rights and the straw insurance, they don't put it in all caps.
Yeah.
They never did.
Okay. You had something, Omar?
Just to say that if you are contracting with other people and you're getting them to, let's say, just give you, like you're saying, there's subcontracting and letting you deal with the taxes, it may come back on them as well later, because what will happen is the same absconders are going to say to them, we're not validating you giving that money to those people because those people aren't, you see what I'm saying? Those people aren't playing along with us. So what they're going to do is they're going to sort of sanction them. So that may come back on you. So ultimately, because then they may go, oh, we don't want to do that with you anymore because
they got to pay the tax.
Because we're getting shit from these people, because basically what it's going to look like is some sort of little bit of a
under the table.
Whatever. So I'm just putting it out there that you should always be weighing the fact.
No. One of my concerns is not getting a job. That's not it.
Concern is what?
Is how to deal with it when you get it. Like how to deal with it. I'm not talking about that they're gonna object it or not. I'm just talking about how to approach them with it.
Okay.
How to approach them with it.
You're contracting with them. So
like for you, for example, you go to the job and you tell them, I'm a Moorish, I don't pay taxes, this is my card, and you're not supposed to charge me taxes. What do you want me? What am I supposed to give you? A receipt at the end of the day, or you just cut me my check in my Moorish title? And
I remember when I made mention. Excuse me, but I remember I made mention of that. So when they said, "Oh well, you see what happens is we tax you, and then at the end of the year we give you a form, and you get back whatever you was taxed." That's what they said, right?
No, they tax you still. I'm talking not to tax me none at all. Is there a tax?
No, but why would they tax you if you're the one that's providing the service? Like you're the one that.
Just like a guy that goes to work, he provides the service. He goes to work.
No, but that's different.
This is what I'm saying. You're going to go to work for somebody.
You're gonna go.
So you're
be an
going.
employee.
You could go to there.
No, but right. You're if we're saying that if you're going to them, you're going to them as a contractor. Like when that's what you're going to be arranging with them. That you're a contractor. You're not an employee. You're not a part of their whatever. You're going there as your own being that has this particular service. Your service costs $1,000 an hour, and then that's what they're going to pay out if they want your service. If they don't want, then they could go somewhere else.
Okay, so that's how I could do it in my
in the free national, because you're strictly contracting with them. It's not you're being part of their.
This is crazy, man. I've never been to a place like this too.
Yeah.
You see how you sit there? This is the boss in front of me when I go speak to him. You know what over my head over there when I was sitting there? His grandfather with a black face like this. His grandfather with a black face like this.
Right.
Picture up on the wall over my head when I'm talking to the boss. Say they're from Africa. But we never get too deep into whatever it is. I want to tell you. They're aware of who I am.
Right.
They're aware of that because I wear my face.
Yeah.
They might not comment and the rest don't know, but they know.
The ones who are the boss or whatever.
That is the grandson I'm dealing with now. The guy with the face in the picture up there is his grandson I'm dealing with.
Right.
Yeah. And the father come by and see me too, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But I'm only trying to figure out how to deal with.
See if he knows about pheasants.
I would say contracting.
What do you mean if the guy knows about pheasants? His grandfather has one of mine.
Enough of the people that see them things that don't know those stuff though, right?
You had some more? Oh. All right. So
things we talk.
I have one thing to say.
Yeah.
This is more directed to Omar, but last couple of class I asked about the right to travel, how that process is going, or where where are we at with that process?
You're asking that now?
Yeah, I'll do that.
The last in communicating with Amari, I think I haven't talked to Amari since the last time we communicated. Just in terms of getting all of our ducks in a row, so to speak, and then trying to, I would guess, sort of finalize a sort of a program to sort of get that stuff off the ground. Right?
Yeah.
Well, we already started the classes on Friday, so that part is kind of going. But talking about the actual.
Well, I mean, the next steps would be eventually getting your vehicle, and then the vehicle would then should technically, if all the steps are followed properly, the vehicle should then be transferred into the temple's name and trust.
And you're doing that, you just go to the ministry and give them the location, the name of the temple, or whatever.
Well, no, I think what happens is one of the sort of administrators in the temple, either Mari, Kujo, I, Tesla, we go down there because we obviously have a non-profit corporate sort of what do you call it? We have a non-for-profit corporate business name, so to speak, right? So it would then wouldn't be an ownership. It would be a corporate ownership, so to speak. But it would be a corporate ownership in a trust, so to speak, if that makes sense. Right?
Yeah, that I understand. So all I need to get now is the ownership from the party that passes on to me, the conveyance to me.
Right, but then obviously there would be other situations, i.e., let's say the emissions tests.
Yeah, I know those.
All that kind of stuff.
Those are
It's the logistical part of that.
I know.
If you wanted to say, let's say, the title to the vehicle now.
You're never getting title
You
on
don't
here.
get title. It's only ownership.
Out here, they don't even go there.
Fraud. That's a lot of fraud.
They go there, they already know it's over. Yeah.
If you're buying the vehicle, you have to ask the people that you're buying the vehicle from about the what's it called, the Yes, and you can demand it because technically they can't withhold it from you because you're purchasing it. It's only because they're gifting it to the corporation that they don't mention it. But automatically it gets incorporated.
They're not gonna give it to us. It goes back to what Cujo said.
Yeah, but once because with here, the from what I understand, once the quote unquote car, once the car, vehicle or whatever comes here, it's under ownership. It's not already like dealership, used dealership, auction. Doesn't matter.
After probably go to Japan, go to the
yeah.
buy from them.
The manufacturer.
You're never going to see that. You're never going to see that title.
Yeah.
So what about Ford then? Because Fords, they're made here.
Yeah, what like Chevy, like GM.
Yeah, I mean,
here that would be awesome.
Yeah, but then the thing is, again, like they don't really make good stuff.
Gotta go for it.
Gotta go for it.
The aspect behind that, unless you've gone to pay for that vehicle in cash.
Right, that's the other part.
You don't take it. It's somewhere, whatever you set the lease, the bank loan, wherever that is, that's when that title starts to go places.
Because they release the title if it's branding, like you're saying, to the dealership. So they have it, and they're not gonna give it to you.
But how many people are going and dropping?
Are going and dropping 50,
I work at
That's why I
give that title. You give it to the dealer.
That's why I say
shipping that. You ship it to them and group.
That is a Canadian corporation. So I'll probably go outside of here to somewhere else. Go,
But then you have to ship it back.
Then you gotta ship it.
But then now you bring in your own stuff. As a native, bring in your own stuff.
But then remember this, right? You have these problems with even the fezzes. Then you're looking at what's called customs.
Right.
The same vehicle. This is what even the brother from Hamilton was wanting to bring in some vehicles from Japan. You get it over here, you may pay $15,000 for it over there.
But customs alone, they're raping.
They're
ahead of the game.
You know what I mean? So they've got all that stuff
wrapped it up good.
They knew eventually
you're gonna crumble,
so they made sure they tighten up.
Yeah.
Even the churches, they told the Christians, look out. This guy's gonna come, don't listen to him.
Yeah.
They already told him. Everybody knows. Look out, when they wake up, they're gonna come.
All right, Mars, Islam, just close out.
No.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe. Father of love. Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Ali. Islam.
It's like the timing class is getting shorter.
Islam, Morris. He says.
Yeah, I use that.